So at one point you moved to Australia. How was that? And why did you decide to do it? What kind of job?
I loved it there. Loved it. So I had the opportunity just to be there on a 2-year work visa. And I
Okay.
lived in downtown Melbourne. I worked for a company called Coles, huge outfit, something like 900 stores around the country. I mean, massive beverage alcohol business, which wine was a
Mm.
significant part of it. And I was there. I headed up the private label and what are called exclusive brands.
Yeah.
And in some places in the world, excuse me, in Australia, for instance, you can have a branded wine that could be an exclusive to a retailer. You'll find this in the UK and number of
Mm.
other places. In the US, you don't see that. If it's a
Mm.
brand that is available broadly, like let's say Kendall Jackson, for instance, there
Mm.
is no one that has an exclusive on it. It's in multiple outlets and multiple businesses. So I headed up that business in Australia for 2 years. Love Australia, love the people. The quality of life is fantastic. The food culture, absolutely love it. Have a lot of good friends there. Uh, the wine scene, it's an interesting place.
Mm.
You have this. It's really spread from coast to coast, mostly more along the southern
Yeah.
border of the country. But you can get quite inland as well. In Victoria, you get into a place like Rutherglen. Uh, but I think Australia has an amazing range of wines that are broadly not recognized in many places around the world.
Mm.
Certainly in the U.S., it doesn't have the presence that it really deserves.
So Australian wines.
Australian wines
Mm.
in the U.S., it's been a down market for a couple of decades. And it's a shame. Some of that business has been taken from South America, some of it from California itself, but certainly from Chile and Argentina. Uh, Within Australia, uh, look, you have 25 million people there, thereabouts, and Australian wine is primarily what they drink. Uh, on the export markets, I spent a fair amount of time in some southeastern Asian countries. Australia has a very good presence there. Uh,
Mm.
it's France and then Australia; those two really neck and neck. Um, but I think Australia has a great story, fantastic value, and the interesting thing that's changing there. For years, they had a significant export market to China. Well, there were some tariffs, there were some
Mm.
disagreements. That has just been removed. So all of the limitations that Australia had getting into that Chinese market, it's essentially been lifted. So
Wow.
I think there's a brighter day for the Australian wine producers. I would hope that just the rest of the wine drinking world would more fully recognize and appreciate what you can find in places like Barossa and Coonawarra, Margaret River, Clare, Tasmania is amazing.
Hmm.
The
That's a very
stories
interesting
are
region.
there, but it just doesn't get the attention that it deserves.
I think it's a very limited attention. People only see a few styles from Australia, the Barossa Shiraz, and a few styles, but it's not so broad.
No, I agree. I agree. It's a lot of the same wines over and over. There's a few companies that are very large and they dominate a good amount of the exports. But when you get into the family-owned, artisanal, oh, the stories are amazing, and there's plenty of these. Um, so yeah, if you're looking for wines that have a good story, and you're not paying much attention to Australia, it's a treasure trove. It's just there's a lot there to be found.
Yeah, that's a great advice. I think another reason for this not being so understood or not so popular is the location. It's very far from everywhere, and probably the transportation costs and everything, it makes it more difficult, and especially for the smaller wineries who have a small volume, it is tough just based on the location to reach the port, because it's far from everywhere.
Absolutely, that's definitely part of it.
But this China thing can be really a great opportunity, because the Chinese wine consumption is growing and the Chinese imports. So I mean, their production is also growing. So we'll see how the Chinese market is going to. Thanks for watching this video. You can watch the full podcast episode by clicking here, or watch another interesting video by clicking here. Let's continue the discussion in the comment section, and see you in the next one.